Fulham are in a hot pursuit of Moroccan centre-back Ait Boudlal, and a lot of people are questioning, is he actually good enough? Now, hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to get a full picture regarding his game. But to really understand, let's start with his defensive numbers, because you're going to see a real mixed bag. You guys can see the numbers on the screen, and you guys can see his defensive ground duel numbers are very, very positive. But then there are some other things that you're looking at and thinking, is he worth it? His aerial duel win percentage is not high. In fact, it is very, very low, especially considering the fact he's 6'3". His recovery numbers, box clearance numbers are not too high either. So why do Fulham actually want him? Now, we really need to understand what Arbelow is trying to build at Fulham. And so far, we've seen in pre-season that he wants the centre-backs to be a lot more aggressive. Fulham are pressing from the front. I've done a bit of a match analysis when Fulham played Crystal Palace on the channel. If you guys want to watch that, go watch that after this video. But like I said in that video, the centre-backs was pushing up so high in possession when Fulham had the ball. And he requires these centre-backs to be a lot more aggressive. You could argue on the left-hand side, they had that with someone like a Calvin Bassey. But on the right-hand side, with Joachim Andersen aging, they probably just want someone a bit more athletic, a bit more mobile. And they might have just found their man. And that is because Ait Boudlal played in a very similar setup in a way in France last season, because Stade Rennais were very, very aggressive in terms of the way they approach games. And that is proven by this graphic on the screen here. This looks at passes per defensive action out of all the sides in Ligue 1. And Stade Rennais are 6th on that list, which is something that by the end of the season, if Fulham and Arbelow can really implement his football, I expect Fulham again to be in the top half of this sort of category in the Premier League. And just to further emphasize how aggressive his team were, look at this category list here. This looks at duels, tackles, and interceptions per minute of opposition possession. Stade Rennais ranked 5.1 in terms of challenge intensity out of every single side in Ligue 1, which again is extremely, extremely good. And this is exactly why Fulham want a centre-back that is capable of playing this aggressive nature of football. Now let's bring it back to talk more about his aerial game in terms of, you guys saw in the video earlier where I said his aerial duels 1 percentage was quite low for a centre-back. However, when you guys see the volume of aerial duels that he takes part in, is extremely, extremely high. This graphic here looks at aerial duels 1. And this is more of a volume stat, to be honest. And you guys can see out of all centre-backs under the ages of 23 in Ligue 1 last year, he ranks 4th on that list. So you could probably argue he takes part in a lot of duels, but his quality of them has to improve. He can be slightly more aggressive at times in terms of approaching the ball, approaching the duel. But I do think those aerial duel 1 percentage numbers are a bit of a myth. In terms of when you're watching him, I actually do think he does reasonably well in this sort of aspect of his game. Now, anyone that's watched Ait Boudlal will agree with this comparison in terms of he almost gives me Joel Matip vibes. Now, Joel Matip was the top centre-back on his day for Liverpool, but was he the most aesthetically pleasing on the eye? No. Did he look a bit uncomfortable on the ball at times? Yes, he had that almost gangly type of body in terms of, especially when he was running. Ait Boudlal gives me similar vibes in terms of he's actually quite efficient with the ball. In terms of, you guys can see this graphic on the screen here, which looks at carries to the final third for all centre-backs under the ages of 23. Very, very good. He's 3rd on that list. But again, when you're watching him, you probably would say these numbers just don't match because he's not the most clean. But it doesn't matter sometimes. A player can be unaesthetic in terms of the way they carry the ball and it still be very, very efficient, which you could argue is a lot more important. I think against Brentford in pre-season was a perfect example in terms of his capabilities. You guys can see this graphic on the screen here. The Brentford player has the ball. Ait Boudlal gets in front of his attacking player. Like I said, Arbelow wants his centre-backs to be aggressive. Ait Boudlal is clearly that guy. And then he carries the ball. And look at the distance in terms of the way he carried it. Look where he started from. Look where it ended up before finding a pass to his teammate. This is a consistent theme in his game. And for anyone that wants a bit more, let's say, of a watch on him, go watch his goal against Monaco last season. Look where he started with the ball and look where it ended up. Obviously, he scored the goal, but look at the amount of distance he covered doing that. Now, like I said before, his carry numbers are very, very impressive. But in terms of him passing the ball, progressing the ball through his passing, that could be slightly improved. You guys can see the numbers on the screen here. Look at progressive passes. Look at passes to the final third. Those numbers are very, very low. And this is an aspect of his game that I hope he can work on. But overall, listen, I know people are going to complain about the price. it is a lot of money for a young centre back, but you could argue that's the market these days, and Fulham are clearly building a young, exciting, fun side. And Arbeloa is doing a great job so far in pre-season, and I really hope he can get this another, let's say, piece of the puzzle in the back line, because I think it will help him massively. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down below what you think of the signing.